Copyright. Copyright. Copyright.
So ladies and gentlemen, Kryptonians out there, yesterday, I think you can figure out, it all kicked off. Superman Legacy is filming, we got our first look at the suit logo, and now we're getting bloody TikToks of Lois, Clark, and Lex Luthor. I have to say, the chemistry is pretty palpable here, and I really enjoy seeing this. This is really just the beginning. But today I am here with a follow-up video. We talked yesterday about the logo in detail, how even the title has changed from Superman Legacy to just Superman. But today we're going to go over some more bonus details here, as well as some other stories, and maybe a leak about a DCU project, something to do with Titans. But today, let's start right at the beginning with how we know they're filming in Norway right now. Now, Natalie Safran herself on Instagram, so Peter Safran's wife, said, and he is off. Happy birthday, Superman. Happy first day of filming. I totally teared up looking at this photo. Just wait till you see this footage. Somebody maybe out there on the crew, you know, give me a little snippet of that footage of which this still frame of the House of L symbol is taken from. I would do anything. Maybe, yeah, anything. What's also interesting about this, guys, is that we know the engineer, played by Maria Riella de Fria, is also filming with David Corenswet. So we can't technically, what I want to add on to this, we can't technically guarantee that Nicholas Holt's Lex or Rachel Brosnahan's Lois are at this location as well. At the start of this video, for example, with that little TikTok video of them just peeping in from the corner, because that could have actually have just been a saved video that she posted from the table read last week. And it's kind of cool how Nicholas Holt is wearing a Creature Commandos sweatshirt there. So how do we know that the engineer is here with David Corenswet Superman shooting? Well, we know from these comments on Instagram. So first off, from James Gunn here, posting on David Corenswet's post, I didn't know if I should post this photo from my iPhone or the video of you rolling around in the snow in your swim trunks to celebrate the start of shooting. And then we have Maria saying, starting a public campaign for the rolling around in the snow in swim trunk video of David, of which Gunn then replies to her post saying, as I recall, there's also one of you. So, you know, just with some basic logic here, it seems pretty obvious that James Gunn is shooting out there with not only Superman, but the engineer, and we can kind of put Lex and Lois aside. Again, I can't confirm that, but I wouldn't concentrate on those two characters being in this location, at least as of right now. What we can concentrate on, though, is Maria Riella de Frias, the engineer. Now, what would the engineer be doing in this location? The location, again, to just say it for the umpteenth time, is most likely the Fortress of Solitude. Now, before anyone says, how do you know that? Just because there's snow? I mean, I guess. I'm pretty sure, you know, when James Gunn was scouting Norway, as you're seeing on screen right now, it's because, as he said, they're shooting all around the world and they want a location like this for the Fortress of Solitude. I mean, obviously they're not going to build an actual Fortress of Solitude set, but, you know, the surrounding areas, the backdrop, things like that, that is probably for the Fortress of Solitude, and they want to use something tangible and authentic. Now, you could say to me, what if Superman's just saving some people where it's very snowy and the engineer happens to be there as well? I mean, I guess I couldn't say for a fact that you're wrong, but I think, again, I would put my money on the Fortress of Solitude. Now, let me introduce a little random theory here as to why the engineer would be here. And I want to heavily emphasize theory / total speculation, because obviously with this level of breadcrumb information, it's only going to lead to random theories. It does make me wonder, as I've speculated before, if the engineer might be an antagonist per se, at least initially. And before anyone says, but the engineer's not a villain, what do you mean? I do know that. I'm not saying she's an outright villain or anything like that, but what I am saying, before she gets into her, you know, anti-hero, the authority mode, she might just brush up against Superman the wrong way, if you will, in the plot. You know, kind of starting off on the wrong foot. So what I mean to say is, for all she knows, she might be doing the right thing. I mean, maybe this has got something to do with this Reverse Kingdom Come plot that I've been talking about, which really kind of gets expanded upon each and every week. There's the idea of even regulated heroes in some of these theories, or unregulated heroes, and how, you know, if there are LexCorp troopers and things like that, maybe Guardians of the City, that could be, his private LexCorp way of trying to keep Metropolis safe and be seen as the savior of the people. Look at all these heroes, metahumans, look how unregulated they are. That ties into the Kingdom Come climate because, again, for the umpteenth time, I'm sure some of you are sick of me saying this, in Kingdom Come, the world, as James Gunn said, is a place in where heroes exist and have existed for a long, long-ass time. So as a result, you've got, imagine like if we had that in today's world, like The Boys, right? You'd have so many unregulated heroes, some claiming to be heroes, but some being way better than others at doing it. There's kind of collateral damage. There's, your own personal sense of vigilante justice. What does that mean? Would it not really be very ethical? You get what I'm saying. So that's why there could be appointed, I don't know, from whether that's Waller to government to Lex Luthor working with other places like that, appointed heroes or enforcers. And again, I'm getting deep into theory territory here, and I'm going to try and, wind it back to what we were talking about. Maybe Superman is being seen as somebody who isn't being a good lapdog, if you will. Now, I don't know. I'm wondering if with snow on the suit here, I am thinking, will there be a cool fight somewhere near the fortress? Then you could say, but Boba, how do you know that will be the case? There could just be snow landing on the suit because it's been snowing. I guess, but with the way that snow is on that suit, if you know what I mean, like it kind of looks like, let's just say you fell back in the snow, you would have a little bit crinkled on you or like placed on you, getting into the little corners that have some depth to the logo there on the suit. It's kind of embossed in there, as I pointed out in yesterday's video. You could also say to me, how do you know they just didn't take a picture of the suit on the floor and put some snow on it? I mean, they could have, but again, the fact that Natalie Safran says, just wait till you see this footage, I'm pretty sure that this is a close-up with him actually wearing the suit. So all I'm trying to say here is that I'm wondering if that amount of snow getting on the suit could maybe translate to a little bit of punching here and there and maybe getting flown back into a bit of snow and then getting up again. I'm not being mega serious right now, but I just wanted to plant the seed in your minds. I mean, the fact remains that we know the engineer is in the snowy location of Superman Legacy alongside Superman. So that is already big in of itself. And I know and I understand the implications of what I'm saying there because, that would suggest that the engineer would know the location of the Fortress of Solitude, which is a pretty sacred location, of course. But at the same time, you could argue that maybe Clark is going there, or maybe government people or Luthor or whoever has tracked that Superman flies in this direction. Now, it doesn't mean that she's discovered the location, but she might know that Superman is around there. But before Superman gets that location revealed, he cottons onto that and then kind of flies out to meet her, but still in the snowy location, as to not kind of give away where the fortress is. I really don't know. Again, I can speak all day and all night about theories like this. But I do want to stress, I can't imagine they're in Norway, the engineer, Maria Riella de Fria and David Corenswet, for any other reason than to shoot the Fortress of Solitude and the surrounding area, if you will. It could also be argued that perhaps Clark Kent, Superman, is helping the engineer, maybe, with some Kryptonian tech. It's going to be interesting to see, obviously, how the engineer, gets her abilities. I mean, I know how she does in the comics. It's literally, self-imposed. She has these liquid nanites, if you will, that she literally replaces her blood with, or, kind of puts it in there, and as a result, she can go pretty much Terminator 2 kind of liquid metal mode, and as a result, be very lethal with conjuring kind of Terminator style liquid metal weapons and whatnot. So, it depends how Gunn will do it. Will it be kind of an accident, or will it be something she deliberately did due to her fascination with nanites and whatnot? We're gonna have to wait and see. I just wanted to put it out there that maybe Superman could be trying to help her, but I have a bit of X to doubt on that one, because I'm more inclined to believe that the engineer will start off on the wrong foot initially for that to be, reversed by the end of the Superman movie. And it's weird not saying Superman Legacy now. And thus, obviously, then leading into the Authority, as the engineer / the Authority are not villains. But I would love to know your own thoughts, expand on what I said. Maybe there's something I didn't think about at all with regards to why the engineer is filming with Superman in this location. section. But also let me know what you think about the snow on the suit, if you think there's anything, even to a subtle little clue like that. But I could be wrong. You could argue it could be him flying, like the flight moment in Man of Steel, and then obviously he just kind of crash lands from noobing out, and as a result, some snow gets on the suit. But again, if he did something like that, you know, it would be pretty copycatty if you ask me. And also, it wouldn't really make sense with that theory because I'm pretty sure this Superman knows how to fly at this point, since we know it's not an origin story. Again, he's not a veteran superhero, but he's been doing it for at least a year and a half to like 3 years. Kind of like what Matt Reeves took the approach with how the Batman wasn't an origin story because he's been active for 1 year, 6 months at this point, but he's still a Batman who's still becoming. And I've already seen people read into that Trunks comment quite a bit from Gunn, in where he did say, I didn't know if I should post this photo from my iPhone, etc., etc. You rolling around in the snow in your swim trunks to celebrate the start of shooting, or like posting that video, right? Some people are like, I think I know why, you know, they only posted the close-up and not that because of this no, I really don't think so. I don't think that's how Trunks would be revealed if they were or weren't a part of this suit. I really do think he was just kind of memeing there, hey, I could post this Superman crest for the Superman Legacy, well, not Legacy movie, to tease the fans with, or to celebrate shooting, you know, you doing this little funny thing in Norway in the snow, literally in your swim trunks. I think that's all that was, guys. I had to address it because people are asking me about this. Now, I'm not saying there isn't trunks on the suit, but what I am saying is that Gunn's comment here doesn't correlate to there being trunks or no trunks. And then in related comments, we got some other meme posts here from the Superman, well, I was about to say Superman Legacy cast. It's so difficult to just say Superman. Anyway, we've got Rachel Brosnahan here saying, wow, finally got that follow. Happy birthday, Supes, because if you didn't know already, it seems like David Corenswet hopefully will start getting active on social media now, because he posted on Twitter, he posted on Instagram, he finally followed Rachel Brosnahan, Lois Lane, and others, you know, this amount of time into knowing he's got the role. Then we have Nicholas Hoult playing Lex Luthor saying happy birthday, and then Corenswet replied saying, you're just saying that so the restaurant will bring us free cake at the end of the meal. So clearly here, Clark and Lex already best friends. Now, something I wanted to talk about as well before I get into the actual next topic is something that, oh my god, it is insane. I actually cut this out of my video yesterday. Actually, I included a little part of it in there, but I guess maybe people didn't get to that point in the video. Maybe they're not going to get to this point. I don't know. But there was that suit leak going around, and the amount of people contacting me about that, man, was insane. I feel like when I first saw it, I called it out as fake as soon as it popped up, because I saw it pop up on Twitter first by a fake Culture Crave account. And to me, it just felt obvious, like when you looked at it. But I really don't mean any insult if you kind of bought that, because I know people sometimes when they see images like this, they only really kind of take a glance, right? And then like the whole shock factor of it just kicks in and takes over, and it's like, oh my god, like they've really just leaked the whole suit in full, even though James Gunn just released the Superman logo. Oh my god, so you're kind of more consumed with that in the moment rather than actually inspecting the image itself a little bit closer, so to speak. Or maybe if you have a little bit more of a trained eye for fake images, then maybe, I don't know. But either way, another reason as to why I don't blame people is because things like this are looking subtly a little bit more realistic as time goes on. So, you know, the thing is, if you believe this, then the future is going to be a bit of a nightmare for you, because, you know, edits in combination with AI like this, because I think it's a combination of both, in the future are only going to get better and better. And as Gunn was asked about it on Twitter, or should I say Threads, he just replied, come on, as in come on, when being asked about it. And then by somebody else, he replied this, saying, and by unofficial, you mean completely fake. So yes, that was fake. And the reason why the artist kind of knew about that and released it before the actual crest logo released is because, again, for days now, guys, we've kind of known from leaks out there that the logo was going to be the Kingdom Come Superman logo, just in red and yellow. So people have kind of cooked that up already to get a bit of kick out of fooling people. But anyway, if you kind of want a good look at what the Superman logo actually looks like, but from a front-on view, shout out to John Regan here for putting together this edit of what it can actually look like face on. And I would say this is pretty damn accurate, because as we know, it's the Kingdom Come logo. We know what it looks like as you're seeing on screen screen right now from Gunn's photo, but when you see it head on here, it's still looking the same. It's got the same pattern on it. It's got the same embossed grooves in it. It's got the yellow frame around the edge. So, you know, I do feel like this is what it's going to look like. Quite literally. I mean, it is what it looks like, but you know what I mean? Kudos to him for doing such a good job. And as for the actual inspiration behind the suit, other than obviously being Alex Ross, you know, Kingdom Come there, we do have this user saying to Gunn, cool, it's like a merger of all the symbols from different eras. It has the colors of the classic logo, totally, the yellow and red obviously. The shape of the Kingdom Come logo, absolutely. I mean, it's right there. But then you have the yellow outline of the Fleischer logo from the 1940s. And again, as I just said, it's got the yellow around the edge. So I really like that. And this is what I said in yesterday's video. It's like Gunn's trying to please everyone, and not a bad way, but like genuinely give homage, tribute, if you will, to everything about Superman that there's ever been in the past 84 years. And the last little tidbit here is that according to Daniel RPK, many of you know him as an insider, a scooper, of whom, as I always say, has got many things right, but also many things wrong. It's kind of the phrase that I say, but again, I would say, you know, a bit more reputable than some others out there because he's been cited in places like the Hollywood Reporter and whatnot. So it's always like, oh, is what Daniel RPK said this time true? You never know. So he said that Superman is currently filming in Norway and will film in Atlanta later this month. So yeah, they're starting off with the snowy location, then going to Atlanta, probably some soundstage stuff. But what is next from Daniel RPK going into the next topic of this video is that according to him, a Teen Titans project is in development, and this was indeed previously reported by DCU Leaks. We made a video around 2.5 weeks ago now, around the February 12th or something like that. Now, I would be very intrigued to see this in the DCU. It's interesting that it is now being kind of, I can't really use the word reconfirmed, but like affirmed or reiterated once again by another insider here. So it's also a project that I actually expect in the DCU. Now, DCU Leaks 2.5 weeks ago said it was a Teen Titans film. This is around the time of when Gunn was asked about it as well, and he said, well, at least one of these rumors is not true. Have fun guessing which one. And then everyone was really reading into that. So arguably, you know, one or more of them, of which was presented to him, I think there was like 4 or 5. There was like a Plastic Man movie and stuff. Might not be true. Like all but one might not be true, but still, it leaves room for the Titans project to be true. And again, as I just said, I do expect this project to happen. I would have thought that it wouldn't be a prequel in the DCU, as I talked about back then, just to kind of gloss over it quickly. Just because, I mean, you could argue it could be, we're getting prequels like Paradise Lost. We could get prequels in the future. I really want a JSA one. You guys know I've been fanboying about that idea, that concept. So you could have a prequel of Dick Grayson in his Robin days, even though we might and most likely see him as Nightwing in The Brave and the Bold. But I think it makes more sense with Damian Wayne coming in that you have a Titans project happening, perhaps, coming off of Brave and the Bold. And that could still make sense. Again, Nightwing in the comics, well, he goes from Robin to Nightwing, anywhere from like 18, 19 to like around 22 years old. So I do think that Nightwing, especially if James Gunn is going kind of the kick-ass hit girl style thing with Damian Wayne, and where they're actually going to do a young, fantastical, hey, we're actually doing a young Robin here. As a result, I don't think we're going to have a Robin aged up with regards to Nightwing. So Nightwing can still be leading the Titans in this Titans rumored project from DCU Leaks and now Daniel RPK at 19, 20, 21, 22. That would, to me, make a lot of sense still. So let's just hope, without me rambling about this too much longer, that this is happening. And lastly, everyone, a little tidbit here for the Batman Part 2. This is coming from Jeffrey Wright. Once again, we've covered a few things from him recently with regards to him not seeing the script and then us being like, oh God, so what is this really meaning for the timeline of, getting into production? But here we have discussing the film, having an interview with him, asking him to wrap things up. I wanted to quickly ask about the sequel to The Batman. You recently said that you haven't heard anything yet script-wise, but I was wondering if there's anything everything you're hoping to see from Commissioner Gordon in the sequel. And Jeffrey Wright says, well, it's probably not a good idea to get too far ahead of Matt Reeves. One of the things that I've spoken about with him a little bit is, in playing the role, I wondered about his private life, and I wondered about the people who have the level of responsibility that he has, having that public face of rectitude and goodness. I wonder what lies underneath Commissioner Gordon, because the Batman wears his cowl, but in some ways, Gordon wears a mask too. Gordon represents justice in a way through his type of righteousness, not sanctimony, and I wonder what might lie behind that mask with the sacrifices that he may have to consider because he gives so much to this public persona and his civic duty. What's the bearing of all that on him underneath his mask? Those are the questions that might be interesting to pursue, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to read and dive back into it, but I know as much as you know about it at the moment. We'll get there. Absolutely. Now, in my top wants video not so long ago for the Batman Part 2, which involves your guys' absolute needs for Part 2, a lot of you said more Gordon, obviously more Alfred as well, but more Gordon's personal life. And I think this is going to be something that naturally gets explored in the sequel, possibly with one of the themes being identity. I just think everyone's identity is going to be explored a little bit more. It's still going to be very noir detective driven, right? But I do think it makes sense to lean into Gordon a bit more. And I've always said a scene like where he gets home, shuts the door, chucks his keys on the side, and maybe his daughter Barbara is there. And Barbara has been referenced before in the original script for the Batman. You can buy this yourself, and as you can see here, Gordon's cell rings, he looks, no caller ID, and he answers it. And Bruce, this is right before they go to the mayor's garage and they find the thumb drive. He's calling him when Jim is at the GCPD at the time about going there. So it's like, did Mitchell have a car? Mayor Mitchell. And Gordon says, because he's like, oh God, I'm in front of other cops here and detectives. I'm sorry, can you hold on, honey? To detective, he's saying that to my daughter, Barbara. The detective nods as Gordon takes a few steps away. And then Gordon says to Batman, but pretending to be Barbara, a car? Yeah, I'm sure. Why? So Reeves was going to put the Barbara name drop in that scene, but he probably cut that scene for time. Instead, we just cut to Batman and Gordon going down the elevator, approaching the mayor's car and all that. So I do think there's a natural thing to be had in how Gordon might be a single dad. Maybe he has a wife, but I can imagine in this take, like, he's on the job so much. Maybe he's a single dad. Maybe Barbara's mother died, like, years ago. Maybe in childbirth, for all we know. She's at college age, maybe. I mean, around about there, high school age, senior. I don't know, because, they were talking about the car, obviously, so she might be of driving age. And I think, him getting home and, I don't know, maybe even Barbara putting a blanket over him because he just works so hard. So I can envision that kind of stuff. So I would love to know what you guys think of that. But I absolutely agree with Jeffrey Wright here. I think that he's not only right, but I do think this will happen in the movie to some extent. I think we will get a little bit more personal with these characters rather than just following the investigation almost every single minute of the movie. And I'm not having a problem with that from the first film, but I do naturally think this is something that is organic to unfold in the sequel. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below with not only this, but everything that we dug into with today's video. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to love you and leave you now. Would really appreciate you letting YouTube know that you enjoyed this video by leaving a like on it. Do consider subscribing for any and all updates just like this. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Kryptonians in the next video. Goodbye.